Hey, hey, happy Saturday, everyone. How's it going? How are you?
What's Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Can you guys hear me? I kind of moved my stuff around a little bit. I'm still trying to get everything set. This is still not the final position. My studio's still under construction a little bit, but just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you hear me fine?
I can hear you. Yeah, man. What's up, everyone? What's going on? It's
Hey,
good to be
all.
here.
All right. So today, okay, so this today is not all OLED because you're like, oh no, it's all OLED, all talk. Only because we got the LG C2s out and Brian got a chance to watch it and see it. So as soon as we get more non-OLED TVs, we'll talk about those. Speaking of non-OLED TVs, Brandon, what non-OLED TVs are you ordering or getting soon? Because I know people want to ask about those TVs.
Yeah, I am. I didn't get a chance to call Robert on Friday because if people don't know, I went up and we sold FOMO's A90J, so we got that sold, and we went up and had lunch, and so we did that. But then I was like, I got to call Robert and get some TVs going here because it's like about that time. So I think I'm going to get
Agreed.
this, but I think I'm going to get the new Samsung OLED and the Sony, like we talked about. But as far as the non-OLED, I think last year I started with the QN90A, and if that's an opportunity, I would probably get the QN90B as soon as I can and check it out. You know,
Well,
I
speaking of Samsung, and it kind of kicks off our OLED discussion. Were you not surprised out of the blue a Samsung QD OLED that no one's been talking about? And they asked Robert to take off his page. Literally 2 days later, they released their OLED, and Robert's like, "Wait! You told me to take this off. What is happening at Samsung?" I was totally surprised, and I know
yeah,
Caleb was. Were you?
yeah,
Or you're like,
no, for sure. I had no idea they were coming. So it's like all of a sudden we get the message. I think Tech with KG was the one that like said he
mhm.
ordered a 55-inch or something, and it's like, wait, what? I'm like, I didn't even know. I'm like, what model is this? What are we talking about? Like, I have no idea. So I was off the loop. We were doing a couple non-TV reviews, and so I've been off.
Right.
I've been off the TVs for a minute. I'm gonna have to change my battery real quick, so you'll lose my video for a second. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'll talk a little bit, and then we'll do a quick C2 review for you guys, because I know a lot of you will wonder, wait, all this talk about the high-end G2 or the A95K and even the Samsung S95B. But before we get to the LG C2, I have to say I was so surprised that within 12 hours of the Samsung QD OLED S95B price release, it was what, 3,000? 3,500, I mean, and then suddenly it was down to 3,000. Like within hours, it drops from 3,500 to 3,000.
That's
And it
weird.
led me to think, wait, is that even a QD OLED at this point? Because the pricing is actually less than a G2. Not to say that it's that much better than the G2, but considering it's a completely next gen technology, for it to be priced at 3,000, that is solidly below what we think the G2 will be at the 65-inch size, but maybe we'll be surprised, but it can't be that much more than 3,000, but it will be a little bit because I know the C2 at the 65-inch is 2,500, and generally the G2 will be about six, seven, $800 more than that. But this is at MSRP, and we know how aggressive Samsung gets by Black Friday. So my prediction for Black Friday, this S95B next gen QD OLED, I don't know, maybe 2,600. What do you think? 2,600 by
Yeah.
Black Friday for the QD OLED?
I don't know, man. I don't know exactly how. I think everything's going to be pretty. There's going to be pretty competitive. There's
That's
going to
pretty
be some
crazy.
competitive pricing.
Totally. Okay, now originally, I know it's on the thumbnail. Brian was supposed to join us, but he had a last minute unexpected conflict. However, we're still going to get Brian's thoughts. And he said, hey, why don't you do a quickie for me? So this is a quick 2 minute review that Brian shared with me. And he says, do whatever you want. Here it is. So let's check it out real quick. If you haven't seen it already, Brian Whisper Status 74 on his channel, he put up this video. It's about 21 minutes. I took that, I compressed it into 2 minutes for you all. Let's see how good it could be. Let's check it out.
Today's video is the first look of the LG C2, and all I can say is wow. I will tell you that my first impressions are I'm absolutely amazed by it. It has the wow factor, it has the vibrancy, it has the clarity, and it has the color. And this TV gives me that wow factor, but it just has a different level of vibrancy. It does have a different level of clarity. But this panel is absolutely stunning. Now, seeing the 77 inch, what's interesting, when we filmed the 77 inch, we had a 100-inch panel next to it and an 83-inch panel next to it, and it still had that wow factor. But getting home the 55-inch, I thought I would be underwhelmed. I thought that I would say, okay, well, I went from the 77-inch, and this panel blows me away. It does have another level of brightness. It does seem to push the panel harder. It is an Evo panel. Now, spending a few hours with this C1 or C2 at 55 inches and several hours with the 77-inch C2 didn't have any issues with dimming or ABL or ABSO. We even had some of these demos paused on pure white. Didn't see any pink tint on the 77 or any pink tint on the 55-inch. This 55-inch is very clean. Checked it in the grays, especially when we were updating it and setting it up. But very, very impressed so far. Shockingly impressed. I do feel like the C2 is a jump again in brightness, saturation of colors. It seems like there's more color and there seems to be more detail. So if that processor has caught up, did it catch up to Sony's cognitive processor from last year? It does feel like it. It is that nice. I mean, shockingly good. Surprisingly good. Again, I'm expecting the big jump to be with the G2 as it does have the heatsink. The C2 does not, and I was still absolutely blown away.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Brian. I know you're not here, but we have your voice and we have your footage. And if you want to see his entire review and assessment, all 20 minutes, check out his channel, Whisper Status 74. This is me taking all of that, putting it to 2 minutes. I'm sure Brian will love that. But, well, Brandon, what do you think? I mean, Brian is saying that this is actually brighter than the G2. And we all thought the G2 was pretty good last year. Without a heatsink, this is as bright as you're going to get, but they did it again with the C2 this year. And so I'm going to have to recommend definitely that the C2, even if the G2 is a little bit more expensive, the C2 looks like the better TV this year.
What do you mean the C2 over the G1?
I'm sorry, G1. C2
Yeah.
over the G1. Let's not confuse that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the G2 is heatsink.
The
but
G2 will be even better. Yeah. But no, but I mean, again, that comes down to a use case. But I'm excited. I mean, listen, I didn't
Today's video.
Oh, go
I
ahead.
didn't hear in that if it sounds like he said the clarity is good. So I'd be interested to see how that compares as far as like upscaling and all that to the Sony. But it's like, I feel like it's not going to take LG much more to be like, okay, now the motion and now the processing is as good as Sony, and therefore the gaming features, so I'm excited for it. I liked the C1 last year. I have a C10. I have a C1 right here. They're great TVs. So for Brian, who I know would be pretty critical, to be pretty stoked about it is a good thing.
Oh, yeah. He's normally pretty critical when it comes to certain things because he plays video games and he notices the brightness changes on that. But this one, for him to be that effusive, I'm very impressed. But let's look at the relative pricing, right? So here we have the C2 pricing at the 65, 75-inch size. And I didn't put up the 83 because that's a bit up there. It's about 5,500, I think. But let's look at the 65 and the 77-inch. The C2 is 2,500. That's MSRP, though. So we know it's going to drop below or at 2,000 by the time Black Friday rolls around like it normally does. And at the 77-inch, it starts off above $3,000, but it will end up where the C1 is right now, 2,900, 2,800, around there. So it's pretty competitive this year for sure, because now you have the Sony A95K that shockingly is actually the most expensive 4K TV out there. That's not a QD OLED. I mean, the Sony X95K at 2,800 is just under the heatsink Sony A90J, and crazy enough, maybe even the same price as the QD OLED S95B by the time Black Friday rolls around. But then, of course, Sony's going to adjust it lower. But I will have the X95K to see how good it gets. But this is a good year for those who want to upgrade to a larger size and get the latest. This is definitely something that's going to excite me for sure. Let's
I'm
see.
stoked.
That's big hello to everyone who made it today. Well, we got this. I wonder if this is going to be common right here. I'm selling my C10 to buy the C2. I think going from a C10 to a C2 is a brightness upgrade for sure, because people complained when they went from the C9 to the C10, you had an actual drop in brightness. And then C1 brought some of that brightness back, but the C2 is the full Evo panel. This is what it should be. So this is pretty exciting for those who are going from C10. If this is your second TV, but I say if you go to C2, also get a larger size. You know, kind of get that extra bump in immersion as well. Oh, and we got a super chat here, right? Here we go. Hey, Christopher, thank you for the super chat. Do you think that the Samsung QD OLEDs will overtake LG Sony in a few years, especially with the decent pricing? So the Samsung QD OLED, Samsung is definitely aggressive about its QD OLED pricing. If this year's any indication, right? Out of the door, 3,000 MSRP. That means it'll be priced between the C2 and the G2 is where the Samsung QD OLED is right now, but we have to see its image quality. When we say overtake LG Sony, really it's not the core technology. You got to look at Samsung's processing. Its processing on its QLED is pretty phenomenal, right? It's been very good at what it did with QLED for years now, but can it take the same processing and apply it to QD OLED? We don't know. We're going to have to check it out. And its soap opera is its strength, but it's not so good when it's completely no processing at all as far as motion. It has a touch of stutter that's slightly worse than Sony, but I'd say similar to LG, maybe slightly behind LG, but that's on its QLEDs. On its QD OLED, I have to see. And now we're going to get it, right? Right, Brian? I mean, Brandon, right, Brandon,
Yeah.
we're getting the S95B, right?
Yeah, I think we're going to split that one. And also, too, like to your points, one thing, Samsung hasn't had an OLED, so like to have that
Yep.
fast refresh rate, and they're going to have to rework their motion a little bit, right? Because it'll have a little bit of different response time. I'm sorry, it'll have like a really fast response time, so they'll have to factor in that to make sure that the motion doesn't look too stutter judder. And also, you know, Samsung have a market share lead overall in TVs? So it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
like they're not going to take over. I mean, like you talk about the most popular OLED is probably the LG C1. Now it'll be the C2 this year. But I don't think the QD OLED, Samsung already has its core kind of consumer, like the people like Samsung. Now they have an outlet in OLED, but it doesn't have Dolby Vision this year. And so you're going to have some of the same gripes from people that are wanting, like, is it got the gaming chops? It looks like they're going to have 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, right?
Yes.
So you have
Yes.
some gaming chops, no Dolby Vision. People already give, like, even LG and Sony TVs that don't have gaming Dolby Vision, they give them grief. So we're going to have you're still going to have this maze of like what things you need. So it's not like Samsung's just going to take over all the LG OLEDs. It's not going to happen.
Right.
You know?
Oh, so speaking of LG OLED, so Samsung has been negotiating with LG to sell their OLEDs as well, right? So we have the QD OLED launch, which shockingly came before the LG OLED launch. They haven't negotiated a price for the LG OLED panels, apparently, right? They want an even lower price. So we'll see if that ever goes anywhere. Because let's think about it. If Samsung can sell its QD OLED at 3,000, wherever it is right now, bringing in LG Display's OLED at an even lower price, I don't know. I'm trying to find a place for an even cheaper OLED because people will end up choosing the LG C2. I mean, even with the price war, the C2 is going to beat it in image quality, I think. I think Samsung should stick with QD OLED and try to force that price down further and have it between the C2 and the G2 or just above the A80J, right? That's a good place for Samsung, I think. And this is a great comparison. The Samsung QD OLED versus the G2. So this is a true comparison between the WOLED with a heatsink. Is it still brighter than the QD OLED without a heatsink? Because the QD OLED is supposed to be bright naturally, and then you have the Sony A95K, which takes the QD OLED and then puts on a heatsink. So there's a lot of comparisons to be had this year, no doubt. And let me grab this super chat real quick. This is a fun one because Matthew's referring to the video I literally put out maybe 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago. I was going to pull a trigger on the S95B, that's Samsung's QD OLED, till I saw FOMO's PHOLED video. So PH stands for the phosphorescent OLED. Thanks, FOMO, for the FOMO. So for those of you who are real crazy OLED fans, right? The chemical makeup of all OLED TVs, only the blue is not phosphorescent, right? The blue is fluorescent, which is an older technology, which is less efficient, but it works, but it's not very good. It's unstable because they never have been able to get a blue phosphorescent. They have red, they have green, they're filling it with deuterium. They're doing all sorts of stuff with red and green. So red and green is highly efficient and bright, but the blue is so far behind, literally a whole generation behind until this year, where UDC, Universal Display, is the company that supplies OLED chemicals to everyone. They announced that, guess what? We did it. Blue phosphorescent OLED. We finally got it stable. It's bright. It has the lifetime. We're going to start selling this in 2024. Now, you guys are thinking, wait, that's 2 years away. You guys don't understand. Blue phosphorescent OLED changes everything. I don't know if you got the excitement on video, but the reason why we all have been complaining, oh, OLED doesn't get bright enough, blah, blah, blah. It's because of the blue. It's why it's been so dim, right? That apparently is going to be addressed. Does this make it a relevant competitor to QD OLED if you add a heatsink? We don't know, but I have to tell you, things are going to be so interesting for the next few years, Brandon. I'm so excited. I was going to cross off WOLED. I'm like, oh, maybe not.
So what does the QD OLED have versus this? Is this the same thing?
So the QD OLED could also use the blue phosphorescent. So the QD has the quantum dot in front,
Right.
and then they have 4 layers of the old school blue OLED. Well, if you replace those old blues and put in the new blues, it also can help the QD. It helps everyone using blue OLED right now. So, or if it's stable enough, you can make an RGB direct view OLED. So, you know, the Samsung smartphones, they use RGB OLED, which is not being used in any monitor or in any TV right now, because at that size, it's really hard to deal with burn-in and brightness and all that stuff.
I have
But not
burn-in on my
anymore.
phone.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
burn-in on my phone. I have a
Not
Samsung.
anymore. Maybe it'll help with the direct view RGB TV. So there's a lot to be done in the next few years. I don't know. It's so hard to predict where things are going now. It's pretty exciting for us TV geeks out there for sure. Hey, thanks for that super chat, MCC. So does the price difference for a movie lover, non-gamer, worth it to upgrade to the C2 and a 65-inch? I ordered the C1 recently. If you're within the return period, I definitely come on. You have to return it, mostly because the C1 doesn't all have the Evo panel. The G1 all do. The C1 has been held back in its processing in order not to get too bright because they mixed new panels with older panels. However, the C2, all new panels, so they can push it hard. If you have an opportunity to swap, then swap. But if you have it, I don't want you to be spending money, selling it, coming back. Yeah, it's slightly brighter, but it's not so much that it's worth taking a loss on the C1. So for HDR watching, for sure. But everything else, you know, OTA, over the air, SDR, even sports is not a big deal. However, you watch hockey, that might be a big deal. The C2 has less ABL, right? So I was talking to Brian about this, and he's like, oh, yeah, he noticed that it did not dim down on the brighter full screen scenes like the C1 did. So if you watch hockey or play games where you tend to get ABL issues, the C2 will not have that issue. So it could be pretty good for those who watch a lot of hockey or a lot of snow, skiing, those sort of stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, nothing. I just made a comment. No, I just made a little just hyping you up. That's all.
Yeah. I feel so hyped already. Hey, Marco, we
That's
need
true.
some measurements from the G2 A95K S95B. Absolutely. We will get those measurements. I have asked Robert, Zone, and D-Nice. As soon as they have all 3 in their retail storeroom, they will calibrate everything. They will get all the measurements in the most accurate movie mode. And then we're going to sit down, bring them on, and talk to them. Hey, what are these measurements like? So for sure, we're going to get straight up measurements relative to each other in the same watching and viewing environment so that you guys can get a sense of, well, is there a big difference? Then you choose the one that you guys can afford and fits your use case, no doubt. Hey, thanks, Vamps, for the super chat. Thanks, FOMO, for the Robert recommendation. I just got put on the waiting list for the HTA9 and the 65-inch A95K plus calibration. Robert told me they plan on shipping everything together by the end of the month. Dang, wait, that's like 2 weeks away, right? So, Vamps, in less than 2 weeks, you'll get the whole package. And for those who don't know, if you call Robert, tell him FOMO, tell him Pass the Remote, tell him Brandon sent you. He's going to give you a deal as well with any
Brandon,
discounts he has
you
available.
tell him you
right?
sent him.
Right? So there you go. I mean, he loves us all. He just wants you guys to get a good TV. And something like the A95K, we know is going to be in short supply because there's a limited number in production. But it doesn't mean you can't get it next year, because I'm sure that Samsung, once they realize how popular it is, they will up production. So if you miss it this year, there's always next year for sure. All right, here's a great question. A90J heatsink versus A80K gaming AI for a PS5 PC monitor. I'd go with the A80K gaming AI, mostly because of observations made by other reviewer gamers who, with the A90J, even with the heatsink, it didn't help with the ABL as much as they had hoped. Now we're assuming, so let's just wait for the A80K to come into someone's possession to review. We're going to assume the A80K has less aggressive ABL, because I do know the G1 has less aggressive ABL than the A90J. So if you're thinking of gaming, the G1 or the C2 will still be better for gaming if you take into consideration ABL. But if you want a Sony, that's what you're saying, A90J or A80K, A80K should have less aggressive ABL, no doubt. But for overall, if ABL is not an issue, A80K should be fine. Now, for PC monitor, I don't know. Using an OLED for PC monitoring, you have to remember that you're going to have a lot of static icons, static stuff on your PC monitoring. Don't spend too much time on an OLED with that, or make sure that you are, well, I'm not a fan of using an OLED TV for PC monitor, mostly because it's not a true RGB. And some people don't notice the difference, some people do. So, but for PS5, it's absolutely fine. A80K for PS5 should actually be awesome, because Sony is specifically going to have the PS5 firmware updated with the A80K to have a special contrast connection where the image quality should be a little bit better. Not VRR perfect, but at least the contrast is supposed to have a better image on a Sony XR TV than on any other TV. But that's in theory, so we'll see.
Hey, just so you know, I don't know if it's mine too, but sometimes your audio is going like really high and then comes back down. I'm not sure why. I don't know.
Oh, that is weird.
Do you have an automatic? Do you have automatic whatever on the? I'm sure maybe that's
on the live stream. Yeah, I should. Yeah. Let me do this.
Maybe turn that off. I don't know. Maybe it'll just balance it out.
No,
Who knows?
that's
It's not a huge deal. I don't know if mine's doing it too. Maybe people can let us know. It's only happening like once every couple minutes, but
okay.
And what was I going to say?
Audio. Yeah, no, that's important.
Like right now, it just went up really high. Now it's back down. What was I going to say? Oh, hey, hit the like button if you can while we're waiting. Can you guys hit the like button? 100 people could do it and help us out. Smash it, hit it. Oh, okay. Maybe it's my speakers. They said
I turned off. I turned off the automatic mic. Is that better? Because it was on.
Yeah, go ahead and talk.
I was going to say it was on, so maybe because it was on, it adjusted it.
Yeah, maybe just turn your mic up just a little bit now. Can you turn it up? And turn it up, or turn it up, just whatever.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I should turn it up. I had it down a little bit. All right.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's great. That sounds good. That sounds like it sounded before it would go higher. So that sounds good.
Okay.
And people can let us know. I mean, yeah, it looks good. And just, you know.
I've been having mic issues since I started YouTube.
No, that mic's good, man.
It's a constant battle with the mic.
I use this thing, just like one here, but I have the lavalier mics. I just feel like it's easier when I just put a lavalier mic. So I just wear a collared shirt and I just put it on my collar. I don't know. Just seems
Hey,
easier for me. I know everyone else does like shotgun mics that are like really nice and expensive, but it's hard to get those pointed at you all the time.
you know what? Today is the first time I use a shotgun mic for streaming. I normally do not use a shotgun mic for streaming, but this is the same mic that I'm using that I used for my talking heads that you guys see me normally do on a
Yeah,
video.
it sounds
But
good.
I'm able to turn it around facing me this time. So I'm using the shotgun and hopefully it sounds good. I'll have to check the audio later. But I normally am on the Electro Voice RE20 Dynamic. This is the first time I'm using a condenser. So hopefully it sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it
Hey,
sounds good.
Trevor. Thank you for that super chat. If you had to choose between a 65-inch A95K or a 77-inch G2 for $4,000, which would you choose? As much as I love the QD OLED, I tell you guys that it's the size, a 77-inch G2, I would go with that. Yes, I know there's going to be a little bit more color probably in the skin tones, but the immersion, a 77-inch, for me, I watch movies for entertainment and I get that extra entertainment from immersion. But this is a good question. What about you, Brandon? Which would you choose, larger or slightly more color, but
I,
smaller?
I have like I don't know. I mean, I would say probably the larger screen, but what I'm going to say is they better start making the QD OLEDs larger fast because they're.
Yep.
I mean, think of how many times we're going to have to answer the question like there's no 77, there's no 75, there's no 83-inch. Like we're going to hear that all year.
Yep.
So I mean, we'd literally just have a 65. And even for me, like I would love to replace my A90J in my bedroom, but it's like I also would like be like, well, I'd rather have a 77. Like I don't really want to replace it with another 65, you know? Like you
Yep.
always say, like replacing one product for something that's the same size and slightly better, it's very expensive. And even for us
It
with
is.
reviewing TVs, that's expensive, you know.
Yeah.
I probably it depends on how far they are away. I mean, if they're
Mhm.
immersed enough in the 65, it's going to be pretty awesome TV from Sony, but a 77-inch TV is better than a 65 for sure.
I want to definitely address this comment, Darius. Everything's a stopgap for micro LED. So we all know how micro LED is great. It's not organic. It gets bright. It's stable. All that good stuff. However, the reason that you guys have to be aware the micro LED, I don't know. Okay, so first of all, there are two things you have to know about micro LED. It's not going to get to the 65-inch size because it's so expensive to get those pixels small enough to fit 4K into a 65-inch or smaller. More likely than not, it will probably not get smaller than an 85, 88, 92-inch screen around there. Okay, so let's say that screen is not too large. The second part of micro LED that I did not know until recently is the thing heats up like crazy. If you get it above 1,000 nits, it will start overheating not the pixels, but all the circuit boards. Managing the heat on a micro LED is a nightmare right now for Samsung and everyone else. They can get it to 1,000 nits easy. But you guys are talking, oh, one day I'm going to get 4,000 nits on a micro LED or not going to happen. I do. People are saying that it is unlikely to exceed 2,000 nits, mostly because of the heat problem. They cannot control the thermals yet. So the three issues are one, getting the pixels small enough and affordable, and then placing them and getting good yields, and then third, thermal management. Once all of those are put together, then we'll have an affordable micro LED. And other technologies may surpass it before we get there. So something to keep in mind, my friends. Good question or good comment there. Hey, MCC, is there reduced burn-in risk with the C2? I believe there is because they are using, well, first of all, this is the latest iteration of their monitoring system, but now they're using AI to monitor areas of the TV that are getting static images. They can adjust to that and refresh it when the TV is off. They are able to evenly allow your TV to last the life of the TV, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever that is, but you're not going to get burn-in. So burn-in is individual pixels being overused. What they want to do is have that evenly distributed among all the pixels somehow, right? So, for example, if you're a gamer, they will adjust the brightness of the whole TV so that you don't have burn-in of logos during gaming. But if you're not a gamer, then you can watch your TV a little bit brighter and still enjoy everything about the TV without worrying about burn-in. It is more sophisticated than ever before. So the answer is yes. Reduced burn-in risk. Eliminated? Never. Okay,
Cool.
let's see.
Say hi to Robert. Robert's actually watching it right now. I had emailed him and he popped an email right back. They're so I love those guys. They're so
Oh,
nice.
I know. They're working 7 days a week, man.
Well,
Because they,
it's your own business, man. You love your business.
yeah, that's
It's a
us,
family
right?
business too. It's a family business as well. They got good family, good
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Andy. Or unless you're in Europe or Asia where no one gets larger than 55, right? But yeah, in the USA, people they're willing to pay 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 for a 77-inch. You got to meet in the market, my friends. And
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
something that I will be the first to say, never buy first gen tech. And that is what the Sony A95K is, and that's what the Samsung S95B is. I do think it will make a great impression. The first gen tech is going to have teething pains. We as professionals, this is what we do for fun, right? But if you guys are a long-term buyer, you're not flipping TVs every few years, I say wait at least 2 years before you get a QD OLED. One, it'll be a lot less expensive in 2 years, but more importantly, all the issues in year one and year two will be figured out. And then by year three, most of the good stuff will be there and less of the bad stuff. A whole lot less. This is more realistic. Would I buy a 55-inch C2 or a 65-inch C1? Now, for me, and you guys know this, any improvement on the C2 at 55, I still would prefer it slightly larger. So I'd still go with the C1 or save a couple $100 and go with a 65-inch C2 because the prices are close enough that I would save a little bit of money and go with the C2 65. But either way, it would be the 65 C1 mostly because the strength of the OLED is everything that's from the darkest areas to the mid levels, going to the highest brightness, which is where the C2 is strong right now. Unless you have content that really takes advantage of that, right? So you saw early in the video of this live stream, you saw some of the footage that Brian shot and he recorded on his C2. It's amazing, but that's very specific HDR footage that LG captured to show off HDR. Most movies are not graded to look that good. Most movies will look identical on the C2 and the C1, right? With exceptions being Mad Max, Aquaman, Batman versus Superman, right? There's certain movies where you'll see a difference between the C1 and the C2, but if you're watching anything else, Star Wars, right? The Hobbit, it doesn't matter. C1 and C2 will look identical. That being the case, getting the 65-inch will look similar to the C2. Get me the larger size. So,
So there's a good comment. People are King here. Let me just put it up. Oh, you're coming down the list. Let me just let you do it. It's
okay.
about the QC control on the QD OLED. QC on the QD. It's I'm addressing it. It's like you're going to get a crap shoot.
Is it this one, King
Yeah,
Drasman? Yeah,
exactly.
okay. So be an installer. I am most worried about screen uniformity on the first gen QD OLED, even with the Sony Master Series quality control. How bad is that going to be? And this is why you wait, King. What's the worst that could happen? Oh, they sell out. And well, you wait till 2023, and now you can say, oh, yeah, I'm glad I didn't buy it because the DSC was bad, right? And if the DSC this year is great, well, it's not going to get worse next year either. So either way, you're going to benefit from waiting. Other than not being the first guy on the block to have it, I definitely would wait for the QC because we just get it from the retailer like you guys would, right? We're not getting any golden samples. Robert will ship us whatever he has in stock. Well, I'm getting mine direct from Sony, local. So Robert doesn't even see my A95K, but I will definitely get, we're going to get the S95B more likely than not. Robert will take a look at that and do his thing and let us know about the QC because that's something that's important that we want to get a good S95B, right? But yeah, if it's first gen and you're getting it through Robert, I strongly recommend just get a QC. It wasn't an extra couple $100 to get it calibrated because you know for sure that the Samsung QD OLED will come out of the box bad color accuracy. That's just how it is.
As far as like what I was going to say to that is like you're going to have kind of a crap shoot in any of these TVs, but if you hopefully the OLED's quality control from Samsung Display is a little bit better than, the LCDs coming from them, where I think some of the problem with some of that uniformity also comes into play with the anti-reflective properties and how those
Mhm.
like layers are, right? How many layers they have in there and
Yeah.
which layers. Because I did remember that like the lower model Samsungs, like the QN85A last year, it looked better. And I don't think it had like that anti-reflective properties as strong. So I don't know. You like, well, like the Q90, like the Q80T looked better than the Q90 as far as that 2 years ago too. So it's like
Right.
the
Right.
the better and the better they reflect, sometimes the worse that the
Contrast. Yes,
DSP
it's a
is and all that.
slight drop down. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I agree. That's
So I
true.
think, hopefully the OLEDs, QD OLEDs, hopefully with this product being new, they're going to, take a little time to make sure that they're not sending out crappy looking screens. I mean, it would be
Well,
such a disappointment.
about the anti-reflective, you bring in a great point. Not a lot of people know. Sony has anti-reflection, but they don't put it as strongly on their OLEDs. Their OLEDs specifically, they really keep it as minimal as possible because they want the OLEDs to look awesome. But there's a lot more of it on their LCD TVs, right? Because they're assuming that you're in the dark with an OLED, it's going to look great. Take full advantage of the strengths of an OLED in that case. And Andy Kills You has a good comment. Samsung has a TV trade-in program. If you guys expect to get a new TV every few years, this is what Samsung will allow you to do. Get on their program every few years. You have to get a new TV, right? So you're constantly making these payments, but you know what? You're on a trade-up plan for life. It's like a Netflix program, right? Hey, C2 55-inch with a warranty or a G2 55-inch? Because with a warranty on the C2, the price will be basically the same. I am not a big fan of warranty, even though it covers burn-in, because I don't abuse my TVs. I don't do things on it. Like I don't have ESPN running and CNN running 24/7. If I did that, yeah, I'd probably do the warranty. But if you're a normal TV user, including some gaming, right? But if you're like a serious gamer, you're playing 12 hours a day, yeah, get the warranty, play it safe. Now, the G2 has its own display or the panel replacement policy that's 5 years. Doesn't include labor, but I'd get the G255 without the warranty and just enjoy that extra punch from the G2. But which would you do? Warranty C2 or G2, but no warranty?
I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like the warranty is very effective for an OLED. I mean, sometimes people will
Yeah,
say like a square on the OLED went out, and it's like, okay, well, I don't know. It's so you always hear about it when something negative happens, but it's like you only see that because it happened, and like another 10,000 TVs didn't, or 1,000 TVs didn't have anything happen. So
right.
I would always just take that extra money and invest it into a better TV. And I think
I completely agree.
I also think the G2, like if you got the feed or no feed, or you're going to put it on the wall, I mean, the G2 is going to look really cool against the wall and all that. And I think if they're on a stand, they'll both be pretty similar. So not that big a deal, but they're
And
both good TVs. You're not going to notice the extra brightness in the G2 unless you have the seat. So
yeah.
get whichever one fits the budget.
And also, guys, if you guys are Best Buy members with a tech support, which I am, when you get it through Best Buy, that G2 is automatically covered for 2 years, beyond whatever, because that's part of your tech support, whatever, right? So if you get it through Best Buy, you don't have to pay extra, and it has that 2-year unlimited warranty coverage above and beyond the existing one. So that's kind of helpful. Hey, Christopher, thank you for the super chat. This is a good question. Is it better to call Value Electronics to order rather than ordering online? I can't figure out how to add calibration extended warranty. So Robert is definitely old school. Always call him. People love email. People love order online. Don't do any of that. He put his phone number on there. I know he won't tell you to do that, but I'm going to tell you. Pick up the phone. You're either going to get him or his wife, Wendy. Say, hey, we watch the streams. We watch FOMO and Brandon, these guys. Can I talk to Robert? I'm ready to order right now. Boom, to the front of the line. They take your order. Then they'll email you the confirmation. And now you're done. Always make the phone call. That's exactly how I work with Robert.
I want to tell you guys, though, if you're calling and you guys are referencing us, don't put them through the ringer, like asking 50 questions and then saying like, well, maybe I'll call you back and maybe I'll do this. And if you're gonna use my name or FOMO's name, call them and buy it and be done with it. Don't
I
be asking.
know.
Come back here and ask us the questions. Don't call like one
Yes.
of our friendly retailers and be like, "Hey, they said this about this. Do you think so too?" They don't have time for that crap. They
Right.
got work to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They do your research with us, definitely. And remember, Christopher, if you're talking to him on the phone, the other dude that's calling, he's not picking up the phone for the other dude.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying.
so
Like,
people are
just
going to play, hey, Robert never picks up the phone. Well, just blame Christopher. He's been on the phone with Robert all day.
I love the people. I love everyone in here. But we sold the 83-inch OLED to a guy, David, and he was just like, "I want it. I'm done. Where do I send my money? Boom. I'll
Yeah.
I'll accept delivery today. Boom." It was
Yeah.
like people that you have to understand when you're getting a deal. Get a deal, take a deal. We had other people that were like asking me 1,000 questions about the TV, and it's like, bro, the TV's right there. It's a beautiful TV. Do you want it or not? I don't have time for 100 questions. So, it's the
Right.
same thing with retailers. We're telling people all across the nation and world to call Robert. So be careful. Don't call him and ask him a bunch of questions.
Right. And you guys have to know, retailers don't get a big markup. I mean, man's going to make a living, but it's not like, oh, he's making mucho bucks on these things. He's a retailer, right? So, oh, look, a guest. Hello.
Yeah, Jen, she brought me food. I'm crippled, so she's been helping me out. She got me a Red Bull and everything. Awesome. Woo-hoo.
Pulling the crippled ankle
Go, Jen.
routine. I got to love it.
Thanks, babe.
All right, Vams. Thanks for the super chat. FOMO, would you get, let's see, would you get pick 65-inch C1 today or buy the C2 65-inch for my grandmother next week or whenever the Best Buy launches? Okay, so the minute I hear
Is
my
your grandma a
grandmother,
gamer or what?
my mom, your mom, they would be so happy with the OLED. It wouldn't even matter. So I would get the TV for them at our convenience. Our meaning, okay, when the price is right, if it's your budget, whatever. Because the minute she sees that C1, C2, C10, she'd be like, oh my God, right? So I would say, whatever you get it with, maybe a sound bar, just get it as a complete package. Any OLED, right? So in this case, if you save a few $100s, get the C1, and then maybe get it with the complete Best Buy white glove. In case there's any issue, you call Best Buy and they just come out there and they take care of it for her. That way, you're spending the same amount, but you're getting a lot more service with the TV, because that's what I do for my parents. If I get them anything, I get it through Best Buy, I pay a little extra, throw it to Geek Squad, and then I tell them, don't call me, Mom, call Geek Squad. Post their 1-800 number and just call them. That's how I would treat it for my grandparents or my parents, because you don't want to be the one in tech support. You do not want to be involved carrying the darn thing, taking it back to Geek Squad, right? So get the C1, get the extended warranty, and I think that will end up being, for you, convenient, and your grandmother gets this 5-star treatment, because I think Geek Squad probably has the best warranty service after sale of all of them out there. So yeah. Well, great, man. Your grandmother is so lucky to have you as a grandson. Gee. Hey, should I get a QD OLED or a OLED for my mom?
You could even get an A1 or a B1 too, like, come on.
And this guy wants to stick it to his mom. Get her an LED, man.
I mean, you're getting a $2,000 TV for your grandma. That's awesome.
Hey, all day long. And Traxa, thank you for that. I jumped from a plasma to OLED, but to be fair, I was disappointed by motions. Yeah, that's it. Especially on game mode, C10 was a huge problem with content below 120 FPS. I've never had such judder on my old plasma because two different technologies. Plasma TV does not have that capture and hold, even though it might have perfect anti-judder. It's that OLED stutter that will never be eliminated unless there's that touch of processing that adds a little bit of soap, a little bit of motion blur, but it's not perfect. Plasma, to this day, Plasma is still the best when it comes to 24p content. OLED doesn't match. Nothing matches it. So you're not going to ever get back to Plasma unless we implement that new True Cut motion technology that TCL's licensing this year. Now we're going to see how it goes, but It promises to make all OLED TVs like plasma smooth without the soap opera, but we're still probably at least 18 months away before all the TV makers have TrueCut on their TV, and then the contents have to do it with TrueCut. But eventually we're going to get there. Not this year, maybe next year, 2 years after, but good point. Plasma, yeah. Unfortunately, we can't carry everything over. I mean, even CRT has better motion, right?
You know, I had people tell me that I had a lot of people with plasma to OLED, and I have to say, like, most of them are extremely happy with that upgrade. So
It's only the motion. Yeah, no, I
the
agree.
motion, but even like you're there are some things you can tweak on it. You know, you can still, but yeah, definitely game mode is difficult because you know you're not going to get as good emotion.
Hey, Nicholas, thank you for that super chat. At this point, with OLEDs advancing so much, LED LCD will be just budget TV sold at Walmart. Much respect to both of you. Hey, thank you. Be
About my
glad
foot.
to see you're healing. No, we forgot to tell the story. So Brandon and I had to lift the 83-inch from his truck, and he had his little scooter. So he's rolling in his scooter, pulling it off the truck. I'm like, oh man, this is just, I don't want to drop this in front of
Yeah.
the people who's like,
So
watching this.
yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean, FOMO, first of all, didn't really want to lift it because he's like, you bring someone, like, let's bring someone else to lift that TV because it's like a heavy TV, and he's like nervous he's going to drop it. And then I'm in a cast on a scooter taking a 100-pound TV out of my truck, and also I put the 100-pound TV in my truck on my scooter too. I actually picked it up, and I was just behind FOMO, and I was just rolling it. It was kind of useful actually, the scooter.
Actually, you were pretty smooth. I was afraid that you controlled it pretty well. You're like,
Well,
you're a
I mean, I've been
man.
doing this for 15 years. It's funny. People sometimes criticize me that I'm not like a professional TV reviewer or whatever. It's like I have been handling more TVs than anyone on the internet for the last 15 years. Like I've
Oh,
literally tens of thousands of TV. Now, that doesn't make me like smart about them. I'm just saying, like, you know, everyone has their, you know, their strengths and weaknesses, but it's not like I don't know TVs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Vinner, thanks for this comment and question. How come no one has mentioned the A90K after the A90J was seemingly the best TV last year? So I think part of the problem is the A90K does not have a heatsink, right? If I'm not mistaken. It's smaller. It's the Master Series version of the A90J, but it comes in a smaller size, and it does not come with a heatsink. The A90J carries over. So even though it's a 2021 model, in 2022, hardware wise, it's unchanged. However, they will be including, let's say, if they receive the LG OLED EX panel, it'll be incorporated into the A90J. And any firmware updates that take advantage of the EX panel will be in the A90J as well. But the A90K is not necessarily a better TV. So this is why we're not mentioning the A90K. It's not improved beyond what was already there last year. And even Sony's like, yeah, you know, if Sony's not going to make a big deal out about it, I'm just tripping over my tongue. If Sony is not going to make a big deal over the A90K, neither am I, right? Because you know they're putting so much more effort into the A95K and the X95K. That's where their attention is. More likely than not, that's where their engineering effort was. But let me know, guys. Are you guys interested in the A90K for whatever reason? What am I missing about the A90K that you guys have heard?
Good.
Okay. Make sure we're catching up. And if I missed your questions, I apologize. Just ask it again. There's just so much scrolling here. And don't forget to click like, guys. We love you too. We want others to see this as we are on.
Cool. Well, we just got
Hey,
some good news.
I don't think I got your question, Jazz Miley. Ask it again if you can. I'm kind of scrolling through.
We just got some good news. The kids don't know, but my wife we got a call from Tesla, so we're actually getting to pick up our Tesla today.
Oh, are your kids excited about it? I mean, are they old enough to go, yeah, Tesla's awesome?
I mean, yeah, a little bit, but they're also like they just sit in the back seat with their like tablets. And this one doesn't have like the video games in the back seat, you know, like that doesn't have like the bigger one. The X had the video game connectivity, but It's a pretty sweet car, and it's like it's the Y, so it's not like the super expensive stuff, but we were gonna get it Monday, and they didn't know, so now she's gonna sneak off and go get it now. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty
This,
exciting.
this is a good revisit of 2021. Snoots, thanks for the good question. I had talked myself into the 77-inch A80J. I was under the impression it is the same EVO panel as the 77-inch C2. Is that correct? Does the LG C2 use EX technology, and does it matter? So these are two different technologies, right? The EVO panel, the EVO is a stack of technologies that LG Electronics puts on top of the panel. Last year, LG Display produced two panels, an older one from 2020 and a new one in 2021. So the A80J 77-inch got the newer panel, and so Sony pushed that one harder because the newer panel could handle more brightness. The C1 had a mix of both in the smaller sizes as well as the A80J, so they didn't push those sizes as hard because you have the older panels. But then the G1 has the EVO stack on top of these newer panels, and that EVO stack is what pushes it. So the C2 with the EX and the EVO pushes it even harder than the G1 did last year. Back to the A80J, so the A80K are the TVs that get the new EX panel, and Sony will push it as it normally does, but Sony does not push it as hard as LG. Evo, that stack of technologies from LG, it will push the C2 likely harder than the A80K, only because that's how Sony does it. They don't like to push their panels hard, especially when they don't have a heatsink. But we'll see. Maybe Sony will do something differently this year. But if it's just a straight up A80J, yes, you're getting the newer panel that was introduced last year. But we don't call it Evo because Evo also includes the harder pushing processor. A80J Sony processor pushed it, but it's not using the Evo processing that LG is using. Hopefully that is as clear as mud. I'm not going to talk to myself like, wait, did that make sense to everyone?
Well, I mean, and to be honest, I think either one of the TVs will be awesome. And
Oh,
so,
yeah.
like, if you were to buy the A80J right now, it's not like I don't think anyone would be like, "Oh, this TV sucks." It's
Oh,
awesome. So, if
awesome.
you watch any kind of like those HDR videos or watch like a Disney movie or anything, they're phenomenal. So you'll love
Definitely.
you'll love either TV. So don't worry about
Yep.
the FOMO. You know.
Great question here. The main difference between the C2 and the G2, one word, actually two words. Heatsink is the number one word, and the second one is the G2 has a 5-year panel replacement warranty. And qualitatively speaking, the last one is that the G2 has ATSC 3.0. If that's important to you, it comes with a G2. C2, I believe, still does not have it. But other than that, it's the heatsink, really, as far as picture quality is concerned. It'll get the G2 brighter. Overall, ABL is going to be less aggressive, if there is any at all this year. Oh, what is this? The 65 is on sale right now for $1,750 at Best Buy, and the C2 is going to be $2,500. Definitely buy the C1 with Total Tech and a good soundbar over the C2. Boom. That's it. I'd do it too.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, we've been in this so long, we know that the differences are subtle, and if you're watching Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus, you're not going to notice the difference. If you're watching what we do, which is, okay, I'm going to select this scene and this scene and this pattern, yeah, the C2 is going to win, but who watches that, right?
I don't know. I think maybe it's like Amazon Day or somewhere in the summer or even like toward the fall where I would legitimately be like, okay, I guess buy the new TVs now, like because the prices are expensive. It's like, $2,500 for a 65-inch TV is a lot. And if you can
Yeah,
get it for under
yeah,
$2,000, like he was saying, it's a pretty good deal. Pretty
yeah,
good deal.
definitely. And here's a good comment. The 42-inch OLED. A lot of people are waiting for that. I know it's primarily a gaming target, I would think. And in that case, LG's 42-inch C1 would be a better choice than the 42 A90K. Yeah, couldn't agree more. If you have any kind of game, you just go with the LG and not gripe about Sony's ineffective gaming solutions or it's a touch slower in latency. We already know that the Sony has more processing, so its images look maybe a touch better, maybe motion's a touch better, but that adds latency. LG is going to have lower latency, period. Hey, Samaya Goel. Hey peeps, I can never catch you guys live because it's midnight in India. I love it when someone in India goes, "Hey peeps."
Well,
I
Sean always comes, that Sean guy.
Oh
Remember?
yes, yeah, that's
He's
right.
always out there too. But
He's out there night shifting. Yeah,
thank you for checking in with us, man. I appreciate the love from
appreciate the love
the
from India
Indian
for sure.
community, man. What's up?
Yeah, save me a lassi, salted lassi. I like that. I wanted to ask whether larger sizes like above 65-inch are worth it for gaming. I find I gotta sit close to a TV to respond quickly, unlike movies. Man, you, I, I am a big fan of large TV gaming, and I sit close as well. So sitting 6 feet away from a 77-inch TV is gonna be rock solid. So yes, it is worth it for gaming because you're getting that extra immersion. It's just so much more fun. I have spoken at length to this with Brian, who has a 77-inch TV for gaming, and now he wants to get the larger one for gaming because it's that much more fun. Yes, definitely. It's completely different than watching a movie and whatnot. When you're in that close, and everyone games differently, by the way, it's very personal, but thumbs up, I think. But you don't have to get the best gaming TV. A C1 at 77-inch or even 83-inch for gaming, wait till the prices go down and get the largest C1 OLED you can get. That could be pretty cool. And did you lock in that price before the crazy price increase across the board? You heard about that? Everything went up $4,000.
I don't know. I mean, we got it a while ago, so I think we
Okay.
finalized everything. We finalized everything even a few weeks ago or a month ago. So we're just waiting on the delivery. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know. Was that in response to like just the demand or what?
It is mostly the inflationary rise in nickel. So
Yeah.
nickel is a core part of these batteries, and batteries are expensive. Nickel just made it even more expensive.
I guess they have a
And
new battery too, I heard, huh?
yes, the new battery.
And then
That's
also, it was weird to see Elon Musk tweeting that he's like, it's weird for me to say this, but the world needs to increase the gas production like now. And he's like, and of course that will hurt Tesla, but because of the Russia and Ukraine stuff, it's like we need to pump up our oil production. It's kind of a
yeah.
strange thing.
Hey, he's trying to make it look like he's unbiased.
Yeah, I mean, if you follow him, he's not all about just Tesla. He's pretty, a lot of his tweets are pretty like fair down the middle kind of stuff. He's kind of weird, but
Any predictions by you, Brennan? Are you going to do any 83-inch G2 installs this year? Did you have any last year? Any 83-inch ones?
I only had I had a 55-inch. The G2s aren't super popular. People don't like call me and be like, I have a Gallery Series OLED. Like they don't really buy that. I mean, we probably see a majority of the buyers on these chats and stuff,
Yeah.
But I didn't get a larger one. I will if anyone has it or if I get one or whatever. I'll do an installation. I hope that mount is better, and I'm really interested. The mount has to be different because they're going to have a 97-inch version of it, so the mount has to be stronger.
Right. Agreed. And I see Jasmine Lee's question. We'll get to that next. Oh, I haven't seen Urfi Grias in a while. Gaming mainly PS5
Nice.
for $400 for 400 or mid PC for 1,500. Gaming maybe has a 400 or mid PC. I wouldn't touch a mid PC right now, man. You're even at 1,500, you're overpaying for whatever you're getting. You are not getting any value at 1,500.
Is that just a middle of the road PC is what they're talking about? Like,
yeah, and even PC 1,500 is so expensive for a mid PC right now too. You get the PS5 for 400, and then wait until prices settle down. It's still a GPU nightmare out there in the PC world. It's not worth it to buy a new PC right now. You're not getting your money's worth, no doubt. And yeah, so let me get to that question.
I got it. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I got my computer, it was just easier to buy like the computer already done and then kind of like swap out some pieces because it had the GPU in it, So there was at the time they had some computers that had a good GPU in it, and then it was like I could add memory and all that, but I still need to get some upgrades in mine. I'm still waiting for a 30 series GPU. It's impossible to find that kind of stuff.
At least the CPUs will start to drop. The GPUs is still, yeah.
Yeah.
When is a good time to upgrade from the Z9J? Well, the Z9J is an expensive TV. Unless there's something wrong with your Z9J, don't upgrade. Wait for sure, because even if you get a Z9K or a QN900B, it will be the same size. And unless you're getting a larger TV. So if your Z9J is a 75 inch and you want to get an 85 inch Z9K or an 85 inch Q900B, then you're getting a larger TV. Then upgrade. But don't upgrade to get better picture quality, because I don't know if you're going to benefit that much for a huge price jump, because you're not going to get a brighter TV than Z9J unless you go with one of the best from Sony or Samsung. So you're spending 10 grand, or 6 to 7,000 to 10 grand, depending on which one, right? So yeah, don't do that for sure.
Not sure if anyone in here is a college basketball fan, but North Carolina just upset Baylor. So Baylor will not repeat as champions. They got knocked out of the tournament. Do you follow the NCAA or no?
I wait until the Sweet 16.
Yeah. So Baylor's out.
Baylor's
They got
out.
beaten. They got beaten overtime.
Is Sweet 16 next week?
Correct.
We'll know by the end of next week.
Well, we'll know by the end of tomorrow who's in the Sweet 16. And then next Thursday there'll be 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, and then 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday to get to the Final Four.
All right. Hey, Dan, thanks for the super chat. Sticking with the Z9J theme. FOMO for Sony 85-inch X95K mini LED, MSRP $5,500. Got an offer for the 85-inch Z9J for the same price. So the question is, should he sell this and then swap to the 85 X95K? I have to say, I don't know if the X95K can get as bright as the Z9J, pixel for pixel, right? That Z9J was amazingly bright in the 1% window. I don't see the X95K getting that bright because it cannot threaten the Z9K. So, but I say sell it, get money, and then wait and see what happens. I don't know. But if you don't have a TV, you can't go back. I'm sorry. I think the Z9J is so bright and punchy. Going to the X95K, you may lose that, especially in a bright room. I'd say don't do it. Just wait and see what the X95K brings in terms of brightness. I think you might be dissatisfied with the level of brightness from the X95K until we hear that it is bright. Don't do it. Don't risk it. Or maybe he already did. It's too late, and now he has FOMO.
Last night, the Badgers played where I'm from, my alma mater. Well, it's not my alma mater. I went to a smaller college, but they started their basketball game at 10 p.m. It was supposed to be scheduled for like 8:45, and it didn't start till 10 p.m. Think about that. Because you know how like the games will start to get delayed because there was 4 in a row. So it's like they one went into overtime. So they didn't. It was in Milwaukee though, which is good for the Badgers. It's like a home game. But they had to that's crazy. Having to start a basketball game at 10 p.m. at night.
That sucks.
They sold beer there though, so you could see all the people were getting sloshed in the
throwing jet lag, and then suddenly it's all bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the other team, the Badgers just had to drive 45 minutes from Wisconsin to Milwaukee, from Madison to Milwaukee, or an hour and a half actually. But
Is moving from a Panasonic 1500 to the LG C2 a smart move, or go to the C2 if you're getting a larger TV? Yeah, don't do it. The 1500 is phenomenal. It's got the heat sink. I mean, even if there is a subtle difference in brightness, the movie processing on the 1500 is so good. I don't know that LG has caught up to Panasonic's color image movie processing. I mean, it's ahead of Sony, arguably. Do not get rid of your 1500 unless you're getting a larger C2 or you're a serious gamer and you know what you need in a C2. Hold on and get a larger C2 though, but not the same size. Hey, Samuel Goel, thank you again for the super chat. I've seen Sean. Man never sleeps. He's all about the Q900 series by Samsung. I haven't seen Sean. How does he know he doesn't sleep? Who are we referring to? Sean. Which Sean is this? But I will look out for Sean now. And big hello to you, Jolster. What's up, man? How's San Diego doing? It is a beautiful day
Oh,
in
it is. It's gorgeous.
Southern California. My
Last
son
night,
just told me. Go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. Last
Go
night
ahead.
when we went to the football games, I'm inside a lot because of my legs. So I'm like, I got my jogging pants on and like a t-shirt, and I had a sweatshirt, and I went outside and it's 80, and I'm like, damn. So I had to like cool my car off before I got in it because it was hot. It's hot out here. We live kind of inland a little bit too, so it's definitely warm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Classy's in the house somewhere.
Yeah, I said what's up to him too. He asked how my recovery's going. I'm going good. I'm on my third cast. I feel bad, so I'll kill a minute with that. I had my cast signed, but I had to rip it off because after 2 days in it, it was they had the wrap, and then they had they put a sleeve over the wrap, and then they put the cast over that, and the cast was loose enough I could move my foot, but it was like the wrap was squeezing my foot underneath where they did the sutures. So like I hadn't had much pain at all in my foot. And then all of a sudden I'm dealing with like my bruised foot being like squeezed all day. So I had to make him change the cast. And then the second time it was just as tight. So finally the third time I went in, we were like sticking the scissors under there to make sure there was room. And now it's good. So this one's fantastic. But then at the basketball game last night, I blew one of my tires. So I literally had my scooter up on the side of two wheels. So I was like, it looked like I was in in one of those rap videos where my scooter was on the side 2-wire, and I had to like roll for 3 hours like that during the game because I blew my front left tire on the gravel or something. I don't know.
You got a flat.
I got a flat, man. It was hilarious. Everybody was like, "Oh, he's like," I'm sitting there with one foot and a flat. No pump, nothing. It was just dead. So when I was trying to roll on the grass up and down the football field, because I was coaching, I had to be on two wheels, and I'm like rolling, and I have a basket in the front, so at least I had my water in my basket.
Right.
It's hilarious, man. This
That's
is
hilarious.
funny, man. It's funny.
Hey, Jonathan, good question. G2 or G1? Let's throw price out the window. G2 is definitely the better TV because you got a heatsink. You got the latest generation, and we already saw the C2 benefit from it. The C2 appears brighter than the G1, and then you add a heatsink to that, and come on, you got to get the G2 if you could afford it. Otherwise, G1's a great TV, but the G2 is definitely a jump up when you add a heatsink, no doubt. And let's get caught up here. So we should bet. Is David Weiland going to get the 83-inch G2 or not?
I don't know.
Everyone, let us know. What is David Weiland going to get this year?
I want him just to get a TV. I want him to watch some TV and be happy. That's what I want.
I want to.
Come on,
no
Dave.
DSC. No DSC.
Just get it.
I
want him to get a TV. What is the perfect TV, David? What are we going to get, man?
A TV without DSC at this point.
It's good. One of the things that I caught in Brian's review that made that perked my ears up the most is that he didn't see any pink tint in the C2, because that was my main problem with the G2 was that not only did it have the pink tint, but it had like the green tint and then the pink tint. So when I was like moving around the TV, it kept going green to pink, and even straight on the G1 was the only TV that I thought. And Ninjishin saw it too. It was like kind of greenish in one area and pink in another. And we all saw it at the shootout. The left side of it was all pink, but that was straight on. And we were straight on, and that had a pink tint to it. So that is like an issue with the TV. So if there's no pink tint, I'll be happy this year on all those TVs.
And something Classy mentioned was that some of the green could be calibrated out, but the pink cannot. That's just the nature of the WOLED. And some people are sensitive to that. Hey, MCC, thank you for the super chat. So I got the C1 from Best Buy for just under $1,800. Good price. With the LG soundbar, SP9YA. Who comes up with these model numbers, man? I swear. SP9YA soundbar on sale with the TV for just over $500. I don't do a lot of sports, no gaming, and love streaming and movies. Still think the C2 upgrade is worth it? No, I do not think so. Streaming and movies, the C1 and the C2 are going to look identical, because if you're streaming, they're not pushing your nits above 1,000 nits. They're not going to push it above 800, frankly. You're going to have great HDR on either one. They both do Dolby Vision. It's going to look phenomenal. Don't worry about the C2 upgrade if you're just watching movies and streaming and you're not counting pixels and luminance and all that stuff. The C2 is great. I'm not saying it isn't. And you have two TVs next to each other, you're going to see, oh yeah, the C2 does look a touch better here and there. But the C1 at that price, you're going to have to wait until this time next year to get that price again. So good choice. Good decision.
Here, we missed one. I'm just going to throw it up. Is this the one we missed?
Yeah, I didn't see this one.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Urfi Grius. What's the difference between a 50-inch and a 55-inch Q90B? Oh, so the Q90B in the smaller sizes, they often rip us off and give you an ADS panel, even a 60 hertz panel possibly. Look at those 2 points. Now, I haven't personally looked at the specs on that one. They will not tell you it's ADS on the spec sheet, but at least they tell you if it's 60 hertz or not. Check it out. Is it a 120 hertz native panel on the spec sheet on the website? Whether or not it's ADS, though, which is similar to IPS, we won't know until people buy it and start complaining. But I normally stay away from anything under 55-inch with the Samsungs, because you don't know what they do in these weird sizes. This year, I don't know if they're going to do that this year. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. Did I miss anyone else? If I missed,
no, I think that was just the one that we missed. It's okay. You know, I figured we'd find it. We talked about the. Oh yeah, no, we got that one. Don had another one, so that's good. Yeah, what's up, everybody? Classy and Joelster.
Yeah,
it's good to see. I saw. So I just found out that, what was it? IRLDHD. Whatever that guy's. I forgot his first name. I apologize. I want to know. You can tell me your first name. But now he's High Def News. So he's this one. Oops, the High Def News. He changed his from the Jets logo and all that to this. So now I've taken off your thing. Sorry about that. I don't know which one you had up. My apologies.
No, that's all right. I think it was saying. I was just going to say,
one.
If your TV is over 4 years old, you're going to get a good jump in performance, because that was a transition time from then till now. A lot of improvements. But then moving forward, I'm wondering where we're going to improve. But yeah, 4 or 5 years for sure, you're going to see an improvement.
Hey, hit the like button if you can, guys, real quick. I mean, like, half the people hit the like button, half the people haven't. So if everybody hits the like button right now, boom, awesome. I don't know what it does at this point. Maybe it sends it out to a few more people, but just do it.
Yep. Agreed. Hey, any chance of you getting or checking out the Samsung Arc monitor at 55 inches at all? I don't do monitor reviews. I'm just not equipped for that. I don't have the necessary content to do it. You really have to take it seriously. Sorry, James. How about you? You're doing any large monitors this year? Anything special like that?
I kind of want to get the QD monitor because it would be cool in here. I have zero need for that, like, Arc. I mean, it looked pretty cool at CES, but like, no. I mean, like, I don't know what I do with it. That thing really arcs, man. It's like really curved.
I don't like that at all.
I mean, I have speakers on my desk, so like, I don't know what it would do with my speakers. Like, I would like wrap around and it would be in the way of my speakers. So you'd need to have a pretty big desk to have that and speakers, But I mean, for gamers, it could be cool. It just looks like kind of more of a novelty thing. Like, I don't know if it's practical. I don't know if gamers would be like, yeah, I need to be wrapped around with the screen, but who knows? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And Don's just saying the ADS IPS type panel from Samsung. Not only that, they give it to different countries. Like Brazil got the QN98 in the 65-inch, and they were all ADS panels. He's like, wait, what the heck? I got a 65-inch and it's an ADS panel. So even it's regionally, it's different too. So you really have to look close before you pick one up. Who cares about the number of HDMI 2.1 ports? How many consoles do you have to connect? One is enough for me. Well, if you have a console and PC gaming, I guess, right? You need at least 2 plus eARC. The problem is if you have 2, including eARC, you're really down to 1. And that's the issue for people who have dual consoles.
Yeah. I have both consoles, but we never have them connected to the same TV. Like we always have, like, in our game room is where the Series X is, because the kids play Call of Duty on that. I just let my 11-year-old play Call of Duty. Is that bad? I mean, all of his friends were already playing Call of Duty anyways. So like
It's
I
a
held
social game.
he's 11 and he was the last of his friends to play it. So I felt like I held out enough. But anyways, and we have the PS5 in our living room because my wife plays that on the big TV in the morning. Saturday mornings is her like video game time. It's hilarious.
That's
So
awesome.
I don't think most people need like more than the 2 ports, but it still would be, it's nice for the gamers to have multiple.
True, true. Hey, Samuel Goel, thank you for that super chat. I have an LG 3.1 soundbar with a subwoofer. Is it worth it to upgrade to a 5.1 soundbar with rear speakers for gaming? Definitely. It's that rear speaker. So if it's a 5.1 soundbar without the satellites, don't do it. If you're getting a soundbar with satellites, get ones that are big and robust, right? None of that tiny, tinny stuff. That is worth it because it gives you full immersion. Otherwise, it's just all the sound is in front of you, which is just a better TV audio, in my opinion. But the soundbar and a good subwoofer are the 2 best upgrades you can get for your TV. But the soundbar with the rear the rear.
Yeah.
So save up and get one, or it allows you to add the side rear satellites later for certain. But I'm a big fan of that stuff.
I just did a video on this too. So you can check out my video on like whether to get a soundbar or speaker separates. But I'm at the point where I may get just a 3.1 in the front because I want to just be like, I like going to the movie and just having that sound come out. And like my wife and kids don't love having like a lot of like rear noise right next to our heads because we have only certain locations for those. So we have the HTA9 and you know how that is. We really have to lower those rear speakers because they're right there. So like I like the 3.1, you can upgrade and get it. Like you said, everything you said is true, but definitely having the 3 and having like something under the TV in the front really gives you a lot better sound quality from the TV. And I don't think the rears are so necessary, but obviously it's better. 5 is better than 3,
Yeah. See, and that's another thing is then you want the clear and loud. And I know the Sony A7000, right? That the big one, right? It's a flagship soundbar where it's big and long. A7000, I think. That one is definitely very good if that's all you need.
I'm actually getting both the A7000 and the A5000 tomorrow on Monday. I'm getting them.
Compare it.
There's Sony's sending them to me, and they're upgrading mine with the new. It's going to be a new firmware that's going to be coming out. So I'm going to get this like the 360 spatial sound and the rears for all 3 systems that on a firmware upgrade that's going to then come out later. So I'm going to do a review and kind of like see how I like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, and everyone's different. Some people are focused on the surround, so obviously you need more than the front, but others just want a subwoofer power. So you're going to get this largest matching subwoofer with that.
I'm excited to see if that A7000 sounds good because I will say that just so everyone knows this, using the A90J, the A80J as your center channel with the HTA9 isn't as overwhelming as you'd like it.
No bueno.
And I don't really even, so when I'm listening to music, I have to turn it off because when you're trying to listen to music, using the TV as a center channel actually makes the whole system sound worse. And so then when you turn it off, all of a sudden the whole system comes alive because it's, your TV is like degrading that because you're listening to music, right? And you're playing bass. You're like, your TV's like vibrating because it's trying to keep up with everything.
Yeah.
You turn the center channel off for your TV, boom, the music sounds amazing, No,
I agree. Urkfi Grius has a great question. I had a Q98 that had little specks of light only when using consoles, but my C1 doesn't have any of that. Is that defective or normal for QLED? I'd say it's defective. If you have a reference TV next to it that is perfect, and the TV has issues like little specks of light, pixels are stuck, whatever, the question is it defective enough for a warranty claim? Because no TV is perfect. We're talking manufacturer defects, right? Every TV will have something, even an old, like, it's got one bad pixel. They're not going to replace it for one bad pixel. I don't think they'll even do it for 2 or 3. You're going to have like more than a certain number, right? So you will always have some of those niggly issues. The question is, how much can you bear? And is it even visible if you're not gaming or if you're not watching certain shows? And this is an interesting question, whether that speck of light would be considered by Best Buy warranty to be replaceable or not. But It's defective, but acceptable defect is the question. So I don't know the answer to that though, whether that's acceptable. And Marco, just so you know, I'll get the brightest between the A95K and the S95B. Since the A95K is heatsink driven, I would be shocked if the S95B was brighter. The A95K is expected to be noticeably brighter because it has a heatsink. Hey, Nicholas, good follow-up here. Can't wait to upgrade his H9G, which is a great TV. I'm still unsure about the Sony OLED or the LG C2 77-inch OLED. I'm going OLED. I think the X95K will be a letdown at this point. Let's be fair to the X95K. It's a letdown because it's $2,800. That's my opinion. It's overpriced what I think it can do. Now, if it was more competitive, like a few $100s cheaper than the Q90B, it wouldn't be a letdown, right? Let's say it's $1,000. That definitely wouldn't be a letdown. But for $2,800, it is $300 more than the LG C2 at the same size. That's declaring a lot. But as far as Sony A80K versus LG C2, I can't wait to find out too, Nicholas. Let us know which one you decide at the end of it all. I know Nicholas is a Sony fan though, so it pains him to have to consider the LG, eh? Will the Q800B also have the 144 hertz refresh rate? I believe so. So this is the 8K flagship, right? I think both of the Neo QLED,
gotcha. Yeah, I don't.
both of the Neo QLEDs, I believe, are 144 hertz refresh. Now, whether that affects your gaming experience or not is a whole other matter.
You should be able to find out. I mean, because
yeah, it's on the spec sheet.
Q800B is on Samsung's website, so it should have its own spec sheet.
Yeah,
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking right now.
Let's get our research assistant on that.
Oh, yep. That's what I am. I'm just joking.
Hey, Jack, is the C1 upgrade to the C2 worth it for someone who watches a lot of sports? I say yes because of automatic brightness limiters. So, Jack, if you watch a lot of hockey and you notice the C1 is giving you ABL while you're watching hockey, got to go with the C2. End of story. Now, whether the C2 will have a lot of ABL with hockey, no one's tested it yet, but it's unlikely based on my conversation with Brian, who does have the C2. He doesn't see any ABL at all, regardless of what he puts up there. So if you have an issue with ABL on the C1, then the C2 will be less annoying based on that alone. The GZ doesn't have the heatsink, right? It's the HZ1500 that has the heatsink. My mistake. So last year, the 1500 had the heatsink. Yeah, so that means that you have great color, but it's not going to be as bright as this year's. Well, here's the thing. The C2 will be brighter than the GZ1500 for certain. Might as well hold on and wait until the G2 heatsink becomes affordable if you're going to upgrade. Might as well go for both of those, right? The heatsink and the brightness as well. Or the heatsink with the brighter panel will be even brighter. You are absolutely right, Don. If Value Electronics is telling you a mid-April release for the 42-inch, there is a long list of people who want the 42-inch. Whether it's a C1 or C2 doesn't even matter. They just want a 42-inch. So they're going to hunt that down everywhere it is. And I don't know how many of them are there, but yeah, it's worth locking that down. Here's some insight. Samsung accepts up to 10 dead pixels. So if you have 10 dead pixels.
I don't accept that.
I don't either, right? But they're not going to do a warranty claim on that. Our audience is like an encyclopedia of knowledge.
Yeah, they are. It's great.
Well, hey, how long do we have you for today? So we wrap up so you can go out and do your thing, my friend.
My thing is sitting right here. No, I mean,
right.
I don't have to leave until like later, so I'm good. But whatever works for you, man. You want to do a few more minutes, 15, 10?
Okay, yeah. Let's do a few more. We've got some super chats here. Let's take care of that. And if we missed your question, guys, just throw it out there. Hey, Matthew, thanks for the super chat. Why do you think Sony did a heatsink with the A95K and Samsung didn't do the heatsink S95B?
Good question.
I think pricing. So hear me out. S95B, because they didn't do a heatsink, it's at $3,000. That puts them squarely in between the C2 A80K and the G2, but definitely less than the A95K. Now the Samsung has a compelling value proposition. If they added a heatsink, and suddenly it'd be maybe 3,500, competing directly with the G2 and a heatsink. Now there's no excuse that it doesn't beat the G2. You don't want to go head to head with W OLED, but have no reason to lose, right? So if the S95B for any reason is a little bit even short of the G2, people could say, oh, but it doesn't have a heatsink. I cannot wait till it gets a heatsink. And then Sony with a heatsink, if it's better than the G2, then everyone will say, oh, and if the Samsung has a heatsink, imagine that. This is me talking aloud. So I think for strategic placement reasons and the price being where it is, it works out very well for Samsung. Because adding a heatsink and all the stuff that comes with it, you're suddenly G2 versus A95K versus the Samsung, you could be in trouble because you can't win. You either have to beat the A95K or you have to beat the G2 because the A95K, if it beats you, people just choose it over you for no other reason. Other than if you have four 4K 120 VRR ports, that's your only selling point. I don't think that's enough. So that's my theory.
Oh, by the way, just who people are asking, Brian is not going to be able to make it. He had a last minute thing that came up, but we did preview. We did a little previous video in the beginning.
Yeah, you know what? Let me throw in. Yeah. So let's throw in one more for Brian. It's only 2 minutes, guys. If you guys just joined us, this is definitely worth. Brian invested time into this. I remixed it for him. Only 2 minutes. This is his review of the LG C2.
Today's video is the first look of the LG C2, and all I can say is, wow. I will tell you that my first impressions are I'm absolutely amazed by it. It has the wow factor, it has the vibrancy, it has the clarity, and it has the color. And this TV gives me that wow factor, but it just has a different level of vibrancy. It does have a different level of clarity. But this panel is absolutely stunning. Now, seeing the 77-inch, what's interesting, when we filmed the 77-inch, we had a 100-inch panel next to it and an 83-inch panel next to it, and it still had that wow factor. But getting home to 55-inch, I thought I would be underwhelmed. I thought that I would say, okay, well, I went from the 77-inch, and this panel blows me away. It does have another level of brightness. It does seem to push the panel harder. It is an Evo panel. Now, spending a few hours with this C1 or C2 at 55 inches and several hours with the 77-inch C2 didn't have any issues with dimming or ABL or ABSO. We even had some of these demos paused on pure white. Didn't see any pink tint on the 77 or any pink tint on the 55-inch. This 55-inch is very clean. Checked it in the grays, especially when we were updating it and setting it up. But very, very impressed so far. Shockingly impressed. I do feel like the C2 is a jump, again, in brightness, saturation of colors. It seems like there's more color, and there seems to be more detail. So if that processor has caught up, did it catch up to Sony's cognitive processor from last year? It does feel like it. It is that nice. I mean, shockingly good. Surprisingly good. Again, I'm expecting the big jump to be with the G2 as it does have the heatsink. The C2 does not. And I was still absolutely blown away. Today's video.
All right. And thank you again, Brian. Even though you couldn't make it, that 2-minute short video was awesome. If only all reviews were like that, I would have no views. It would be so short. Hey, this is a great comment. Zionbull AMG. FOMO. Caleb wrote that the X95K turns off local dimming with VRR on. So there you have it. No one can do it without turning off local dimming completely. Get an OLED. If you're getting a non-OLED and you want the best in HDR, you're not going to get it because local dimming is off. It's going to be slightly washed out. It's okay. It's fine. But then you're playing like it's 2016 again, right? Okay, Urfi Greyes. How many max nits on the Q90B? We don't know yet. We will have it measured as soon as it gets into Robert's studio, so I'll give you the max nits as soon as he has it. We expect it to be a touch brighter than the Q90A. The big thing is not so much max nits, but preserving those max nits when it's less than 1% window. The issue that we've had with all of the QLEDs is that you have max nits of, let's say, 1500, 1800, but that's in a 5% window. The minute you drop to 0.5%, where it's little stars in space, man, that max nit drops to boom, like 500, right? It cannot get any brighter because they don't want blooming. The question is, can Samsung raise that a little bit more this year? The tiny little specular highlights. They said they did, by the way, and that's why the Q90B is so interesting to me. I want to see whether they did, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing. It's like you can't, if you're gonna have LCD and you can't, it's gonna be tough to get both. If they've found a way to get both, then that gets better and better.
Yep. And of course, Don is letting us know we should let you go because we're keeping you away from
Well,
the dealership is like, when you coming, man? We're gonna close soon.
no, it's not till 3. It's she's actually going at 3, but Aiden has a game then, so I got to take the boys. So she already. It's okay to lie to your kids if it's for a good reason, right? So
Right. We're gonna
said,
go on a picnic. Wait, we're gonna go for pizza. We'll be back in a few days.
She said she's got a doctor's appointment, so she's got to leave his game at the halftime.
Yeah. And yeah, Brian's full YouTube video is a lot longer. I took the highlights so I can get Brian's points across, but definitely go catch Brian's video. I think it's his most current video. He put it out yesterday. It's great. He has all the footage and he goes into detail what he loves about it. I'm so impressed. And I called Brian after we talked at length, and he's just like, what? Wow, why didn't they do this years ago, right? So definitely. Stop the FOMO. Is that perfect for PS5 a real thing, or we don't know? As soon as the perfect for PS5 firmware update or the contrast on the XR TVs are perfect for PS5, we'll see. But I'll tell you this, it will look better. Well, the question is whether it looks good on the X95K, on the X95J, on the X900H. No, wait, that's not an XR chip. On the X90J, you're going to look at the LCD TVs. That's what needs to help. The OLED Sony's X80, A80J, A90J, and A80K, 90K looks phenomenal. It doesn't need the perfect for PS5. It is the LCD TVs that need it. We don't know if it will look better, but I have the X95J. As soon as that's out, we'll test it and we'll let you guys know for sure. And I'll have the X95K as well too. So yeah. All right, we're going to wrap it up in 5 minutes, everyone. Last call for questions and drinks.
I already had a Red Bull. It's early for me to have it. Oh, it's 12:30.
Yeah.
It's 5 p.m. somewhere.
Do you ever use your TV for PC monitoring? Because Mr. Mystery wants to know, end of the year, comparing what I think would be the best TVs to use as a PC monitor. I'll just give you a heads up, Mr. Mystery. It all has to do with text. So if it's just gaming, obviously it doesn't matter that much. But at PC monitor, I do a lot of text, word processing, productivity, fine lines, right? Graphs and grids. I'll think about it. I have to think of my content. Get back to me in the fall, and maybe I have time. I don't know how many videos or how many people watch that though. I don't know. You guys, let me know. Is that something of interest to people?
For me, I am pretty impressed. Like I don't use these much, but I have the 48-inch LG C1, and I was like, well, I normally do my editing on this monitor here, which is just like a Dell gaming monitor. And wow, it looks so much better on that OLED, like it's like your videos. I was like, okay, so that's what people see when they watch it in 4K. Well, it's a little compressed or whatever, but still, when you're watching your 4K footage on that, that looks nice, so the TVs, a lot of them can be used. I mean, they're going to all look awesome as monitors. Get like a 48-inch OLED. They're pretty sweet. Or a 55,
Yep. Hey, Nicholas, this is funny. If I hit the lottery, FOMO would be my spec guy. Brandon would custom install my TV wall, and Classy would calibrate it for me. If you hit the lottery, we're all flying to Valley Electronics in a private jet, and we'll just take it all back that same day.
I'm down. Let's do it. Fun. Fly us all out in a private jet, and then you can get it. I mean, it's only like $50,000 for a private jet. If you're a Powerball millionaire, you can afford it. I'll spend a couple of weeks like basically putting in like the best full home like theater with like all smart home. Everything's on demand. You just say something and it all happens. The shades go down and the lights turn down.
This is a great comment question to wrap up on, guys. Christopher asks Brandon, just curious, which Tesla model did you get? What was the specs? And what car are you upgrading from?
Well, we could spend all day talking about this because you and I talked about this at lunch.
Yes,
But
we did.
first of all, can I tell them what you have?
Oh yeah, sure,
So
absolutely.
so FOMO actually has the Volvo C40, which I thought looked incredible, and it's in like this red, kind of like burnt red. It's a
Hmm.
really cool color, and you drove right past the car that I'm getting, which is the Tesla Model Y Performance, and I thought your car was like pretty cool looking. Now I did see that car has a little less mileage, like it doesn't go quite as far. Like the Teslas go over 300 something. So and the Teslas that we have, the red Y Performance, which is a 5-seater, and it has the 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, which is insane. And then it has the black rims, and we're coming from a Toyota RAV4, which my wife has had for like 6 years. So we had that paid off more. I think we had a little bit left on the loan. So we basically got like almost 20 grand for her car. And so we put a huge down payment on the Tesla, and we're able to get the payments lowered. But we drive our kids right now. We moved inland. So we drive our kids back toward the beach about 20 miles every day. And I go like 2 or 3 times. We go at least there to drive and back to drive them off and to pick them up, and sometimes for sports. So we're doing like 100 to 150 miles a day. And in my truck, I'm paying over $800 a month in gas. So it's insane. So it's a car payment right there. And so we're getting, a better deal, but we're pretty excited. It's kind of like one of those things where the gas prices combined with upgrading our car, it made sense to get an electric for us. And we're planning on eventually getting like, solar panels and all that shit. So,
Yeah,
so it'll make sense. But we also have the ability with the down payment, if in a year we want to change something, we could sell this car pretty straight, the Tesla, because we'll have, the balance won't be as high. So, and people are getting like, you can sell a Tesla with 5,000, 10,000 miles for the same exact price, because right now there's a 4 or 5 month wait. So people are able to sell a used Tesla like really fast,
Yep, easily. All right. Well, there's so much to talk about when it comes to these cars. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. With that, hey, we're wrapping up. What is it? It's 12:40. Oh my gosh, we've been running for almost an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you, everyone, for coming. We will be back next weekend. We'll try to get Brian on. I'm sure he has a lot more impressions. He can put a lot more videos out there. And what's happening for you this week, Brandon? What are you throwing out there?
I'm doing this the Sony soundbars HT9 and the A9 7000 and 5000. So I'll be doing those, comparing them. So definitely look for that on Saturday. If you guys haven't, I did a video on this like smart lock. It's like a doorbell and a smart lock in one. It's like a new product that's coming out. So if you haven't checked it out, go ahead, do me a favor and check it out on my channel. It's not getting as many views as most of my videos, and I understand that because people aren't really super. They don't watch my video. They don't watch my channel to find smart locks. But if you haven't seen it, it's all right. It's a pretty cool little product, and you can get it for half price from Kickstarter. So if you want to get one of those, it's cool because if you have a door, and you're like mine is where the doorbell's on the side, I can't put a Ring doorbell on the side because it's like pointing at the side of people's head, and they have some angled pieces. So, anyways, they check it out if you guys want. It's pretty cool. It's a Eufy door lock thing that's on my website now. So check it out.
And
Pretty much it. What about you?
I was going to say, speaking of door locks, I have a baby monitor, or more of it. It's an indoor security camera.
Yeah.
But it's like a baby monitor because it has this weird feature where if you're smiling or your eyes open, it takes a snapshot of your face and video.
That's hilarious.
Because babies do that, right? And so I tested it, right? I smiled and opened my eyes, and it just started taking snapshots of me. Like, this is it. This is a baby monitor.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's kind
hilarious.
yeah, I have to say, some of these, and this is a Korean company, like, well, you know what? I never thought of that because parents don't want to miss that moment where the baby opens their eyes and smiles. Boom, boom, boom. 4K pictures, just videotaping, capturing all that. So I'll have that out early in the week. But if you guys are young families that are having kids that open their eyes and smile, this one's for you. And it'll track too because the thing moves. So the baby's crawling out of its crib. It'll start tracking the kid.
That's funny.
It'll let you know, right? Oh, hey, the kid's
can you tell it's the TVs haven't come out? It's pretty funny. We're both talking about not TV reviews right now.
Right.
It's like, hey, give us another week, you guys. We're gonna have all kinds of TVs. We're gonna be going off here in a minute. Yeah.
And here you go, Christopher. Last comment. Tesla is basically free with the gas. Yeah, the way gas is today. And for many of you who are saying, wait a minute, charging is expensive. Yeah, supercharger could be.
It's
However,
not that
there's a lot of
expensive.
free charging in the area, and not just for
This-
Teslas. Like I found a couple of. They're just sitting there. You plug in. Wait, it's free. I'd have to pay what?
The
So Electrify
supercharge,
America.
yeah. And the supercharge in the Tesla is like, I think is it like $15 for like 30, like to get it for the most part? It's like somewhere between $10 and $20. I mean, think about that. Paying $10 or $20 to fill your gas tank up right now. Any of us would be like, piece of cake.
Piece of cake.
I paid $150 and my tank doesn't get full. And that's at Costco.
I've seen
$150. I'm sitting there for everyone's getting mad at me in line. $150. It turns off at $150. And it's still like a gallon short. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get this car.
Huge Super Crew 25. Is it a Ford?
No, mine's just a Ford F-150 FX4. So it's 30 gallon. I mean, that's why, like they said, it's going to pay for itself. And then getting, like, if I go buy like a Ford Lightning or a Rivian or whatever, or a Tesla truck or the Hummer with the crab walking, all of those pay for themselves if you take away gas costs. I mean, it's insane. I pay so much from gas and the supercharging station is like right on the way to kids. I can drop the kids off and then just sit there and charge the car for 15 minutes and boom, done.
Yeah. And yeah, it
Cool,
does
man.
cost something, but I'll take $1 or $2 all day long. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We can talk all day.
No worries.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Thanks everybody.
We'll be
Have
back.
a good weekend.
See you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be safe.